Okay, this is a Siche in the Siches Chelik Tesvov, the fourth Siche to Parshas Lech Lecha. The Rebbe starts like this: In Shaychet zu der Avtoche von Eibischen zu Avram and Azaracha eten es Oretz Azeis, in connection to the promise that Hashem said to Avram, the Zaracha eten es Oretz Azeis, to your children I will give this land, which is the land of Canaan, Eretz Yisrael. Zokter in Medrash, or it says in Medrash, Avram halach ba'aram narayim. When Avram was going in Aram Narayim, where one of the places that he was, Chul, etc. there, he saw the people there, all they were doing is eating, drinking, being reckless, wild. I mean, that's what he saw. Basically, they weren't working. Omar, he said, I wish that I will not have a share in this land. The Suma Shel Tzur, when he came to the Sulam, the ladder, but the beginning of Tzur, which is in Eretz Yisrael, Asukim Benichush, he saw that they're involved in weeding and Beidur, which is hoeing, but work in the field. Omar, he said, I wish, I hope basically that I will have a share in this land. Hashem said to him, okay, if you want to have a share in this land, I'll give you this land. To your children, never give this land. This is what the Medrash says. The Medrash Rabbi the Medrash Haftoch Lazarach et and the Soretz Azeis. Mit dem was der Rotze von Avram Avinu. Alavai Yeich Chelki Azeis is given to this Askel b'Malacha from the Yesh V'Oretz. Since the Medrash tells us that the Eibishter promised him to give this land, is connected to the fact that Avram Avinu wanted to be in this land, to have a share in this land because of the work that they did, that the people who lived there did work. Is the form verstandig. From that we understand that the Meile from Zeiras Askas the Mlocha, that the Meile, the special quality that they were involved in work, is given the Sibbe, was the reason not nor to Avram to the land. So it's not only a reason why Avram wanted it, nor to the Nesin of Eretz Yisrael is Avram. Why Hashem actually gave the land to Avram's children. In other words, from the Medrash itself, it seems like Avram said, I like it here, and Hashem said, I'll give it to you. But if you look deeper in the Pshat and the Medrash, why did Hashem give Avram's children this land? Because they were involved in work. Avram said, since they're working, I want to have a share in this land, not in a place where they don't work. And Hashem said, good, I'll give you this land. Why? Because they're involved in working. Shelter the Shaila, so the question is, when Avram said, I wish I will have a share in this land, what that meant was, I have a chelik in the land means together with other people. That means if he's talking, if he'll be there, together with the people who live there. And the people who live there are people who work. So I want to have a share in the land together that will be together with people who work. Well, the Yeshua is since the people who live there are working, and I want to have a share together with them. He's a movement, so we understand. Avram wanted to live amongst people who behave properly. And not amongst people, all they do is they eat and they drink and they're wild, they're reckless. He didn't want to live amongst those people. So that's all fine. And again, Avram himself, he saw a land and where should I live? I want to live with people who work. But when Hashem promised, I will give your children this land, means when he said, I'll give it to your children, doesn't mean I'll give it that your children will live amongst the other people who work. I'm going to give it to your children to the Yidden themselves, through Chirusha. They will inherit it, they're going to conquer it. So why is it connected with the people in Eretz Yisrael in are working? What does that got to do with the fact that he'll give the Yidden Eretz Yisrael? If they're going to be together with those people, it makes sense. If we want that, David was going to give you that you should live together with people amongst people who work. But he's going to give it to you yourself. So what's the game with the people work? And not only that, then now in time of Avram, people there work. Later on, they won't be there, and the Yidden will get it to serve themselves. So what's in the game? The fact that now people work there, that's the reason why Avram Avinu's children years later should get that it's Israel, when the people who work are not going to be there. So you're not going to live amongst them anyway. So what's the difference if the people now work or don't work? We can't answer. The Rebbe says, you could answer. Adi Anhogi from the Yesh V'Oretz, weiß der Tchuna us Gula from the Eretz Azeis Gufe. You could answer that we know the Chazal zogen yesh eretz mekadeles. The Chazal say that there are certain places that have this kayach of raising people with a certain quality. What it means to say is that the hanhogya, the fact that the people lived there, believed in behaved in a certain way, shows that this land has the quality of producing such people. Chazal say that yesh eretz mekadeles, like it says by the Meraglim, Moshe Rabbeinu go see what kind of land this is. So Rasha says there is a land that raises strong people. What does it got to do with the land? So vice too is there is such a thing that the land itself, the geography of the land, has certain qualities. So the Chura, you could answer, that's the shot here too. Now, Avraham Avinu saw that people work in this land. Obviously, this land is a land that produces, has the quality to produce. How, I don't know, but how to produce people who work. Also, he said, I'm happy, David told Avraham, I'll give your children this land. So they'll also be working. They won't be just eating and drinking and being reckless, things like that. So that maybe is the pshat. The question was, what's the gay that people are working there? Lagabe, the children of Avraham later having this land, if they won't be there with them together anyway. It's not a question of being together with others. The question, what will the people, the Yidden themselves do? If the Yidden will live in this land, they will work. And working is a good thing, better than just eating and drinking. Maybe that's the pshat. Dafür verstehen, but the Rebbe says it's not pshat. You have to understand, that pshat is hard to say. Chazal zogen, as my saying, sheknanim kol kolim kol amim. Chazal say like this: what the Knanim did in Eretz Yisrael were the worst of all the nations. They were the worst spiritually. The place that the Yidden got was the worst of all. The people there were bad people. They were makulka. They were spoiled. They were bad people. And since we're saying that the maisim that the Knanim did is the worst of all people all over all the nations, even worse than Aram Naraim, because he mentioned before Avraham was going about Aram Naraim, he didn't like it because it didn't work. But Bechlal, the place in Eretz Yisrael that these people were terrible people. They were spoiled. So how can we say, how could you say that just because they have this good quality of working, which mainly means that this is the only good quality that the land produces, so the should outweigh the other problems that they have. These has to live them is that's the place that fit for Eden. In other words, like this, if we're going to go with the shot that this shows what the land produces, the land produced these goyim who were terrible. Elamai, it also had a quality of producing people who work. So what's going to happen here? If we're going to follow the quality of the land, what the land produces, and that's the mila that the Yidden will get it, look at the other thing. They produce the worst people in the world. So why would it be good for them to get? Elamai, they also have, the land has a kayach to produce people who work. So is the mila of working so strong that it overweighs the chesron of the fact that the makulka, that they are the worst? So you can't say that. So it's not because the land produces, because if you're looking for the production of the land, what it does, it makes people bad. So then it's not worth it. So the question is, what is the meaning that because he saw that they were working, that's why he Eden got the land? The working at time of Avraham Avinu, that's why Eden got the land later. But what's the mile of this work? Then the chshivas the mile of Malachas, the Rebbe starts answering by this. Concerning the importance and the mile of working, Zog Chazal, the Gemara says in Sanhedrin like this. Omer Rabbi Lozer said, Kol Adam Lo Adam Omal Nivra. Every person was created to toil, to work hard. Shnemer it says, Ke Adam Lo Omal Yulad. Person was born, created to work hard. But the Gemara continues, but I don't know to what kind of toil were they created. Was a person born to work with your mouth or to work regular malacha, let it work? So he says, but since the pasuk says ki ochav alai piu, that the pasuk says when they gave a piu the mouth, have a emer lo omo pen libra. So from there we see that they were created not for malacha, but for peh. Okay. Okay, so we know that the purpose of the creation was to do something with your mouth. That could be two things. We don't know, does it mean talking? Stam? People are able to talk, and that's why you're created, so you should work hard with your mouth. Or should you work hard with talking words of Torah? So the Gemara says, since the Pasuk says, that this Sefer Torah should not stay away from your mouth. So what is the Pshat P? So when we know that you created La'omol Peh, the person was created for the toil of Torah. That's what the Chazal say. He's not moving, we don't understand. How could there be even a kasal, even havamina, even a first thought that the whole purpose that person was created was to work, to toil, to work. What should work in physical work? What kind of greatness specialty is there in working, in toiling, in regular work? That's possible to say that for this a person was created to work, or should to go to work, hard labor. What kind of svara is there? The second thought is also not understood. After we said it's not for Amal Malachi, but it's Amal Sicha, Amal Peh, for the Peh. But in that gufa, possibly that he was created Amal Sicha. He should talk. He should work hard in his talking. What is that? What kind of mile is that? Why? How could we say that? You're created to talk. Befrat like with the Rambam is Meire, the Rambam at length in Pirkei Avos, in his Pirkei Avos says, as Reiv Diburim zayin the Diburim built in Tzuyim. He says there are many categories of speech. Most of them are no good. So how can you say that David should created? The whole purpose is so you should talk. Now the end is understood. He created to talk Torah. But to created to talk, so we don't know what's the pshat that maybe that he was created to work. Then he said, okay, not for work, but for talking. Maybe it's talking, stop talking. What's the pshat? No, the kasha, the question, the wonder is even more late how you do it, based on what we know. Not only what did the Gemara think in the Avamim, when the Gemara thought the first and the second pshat, but more than that, even though it was only a first thought, and at the end that's not the end. But because in Torah, this is a possible thought, it's called the Kasal Kadai, is also Torah. As Benene learned Akasha, the Kasal Kadai, the Torah, on them Torah to Maskone, is Reich Mechuy to Zogen Birchas Torah. So, somebody would say, maybe not, okay. What's Torah? The bottom line, when the Gemara ends and comes to Halacha, comes to Maskone, comes to a decision, a resolution, resolves it, that's Torah. But if there's only a first thought, or there's only that's maybe not Torah. So the Rebbe says it can be. Because the din is any part of Torah you learn, you're not allowed to learn it before you make a bracha. So we make a bracha every morning, Birchas HaShachar, we make a bracha in Birchas HaTorah. But you're not allowed to learn without Birchas HaTorah. The question will be, if a person plans only to learn a piece of Gemara, which is only a Kasal Kadaita, it's only a first thought, and the end of the Gemara will show that that's not so. Could you learn those lines without Birchas HaTorah? The din is not like that. You can't learn anything in Gemara without Birchas HaTorah. That means that even if you have a kasha, which there is a teres to, it means the kasha was wrong, or there's a havamina, it's also Torah. And he brings an order from the Rebbe's father, in the letters, the Rebbe's father writes to the Rebbe that everything in the Gemara is Torah, is Hashem's words. Even the kasha, even when the Gemara says it's wrong, clearly wrong, those words are also David's words. So everything is Torah. So we know that even the havamina, some first thought, which seems that the Gemara Maskone goes for the havamina. In the broche zokter, the roof is on Torah Semes. You say the broche by Torah, you say gave us his Torah. That's the Torah Semes, the true Torah. Das heißt, as in der kashe, kasal in the question, which is answered, which means the question was wrong, and in the havamina, the first thought, which is only a first thought, and the Gemara changed it, is do a prat v'svaramitis. There's something true, because if it's part of Torah and Torah is Torah Semes, as we make in the broche, there's truth in it. I the Gemara says it's not true. Nor do is it zugepasst. But the Gemara shlogs it up, meaning the Gemara says in this case it doesn't fit for some other reason, but not that this is not true. So everything in that, and you have them in Torah is Torah. Al says moving in from that we could understand the Gabe our union. The Teichen Amaila was is doing Amal Maloch and Amal Sicha. The mileage that's there that the Gemara thought lechatchila that working, toiling in work, or toiling in talking. Was to them is the tachlis from Bri Yisod, and there must be something good in it, because there wouldn't be a halva minute in the Gemara to say that this is the tachlis. The fact that the Gemara thought maybe the tachlis is the whole goal of your creation is to work hard in work, to toil in work or toil in talking, must have a mila. If there has no mila, the Gemara wouldn't even have a hammer in it. So, but the maskana is not. So you must say that Meile that the Gemara thought lechatchila, there was a Meile, werd it abgefragt. Ich noch the maskana sa Gemara as almost Teira nivra. So even after the Gemara says it's not, the tachlis is toiling and Teira, but it doesn't mean that the first two are wrong. Because if it's Havamin and Teira, it's true. Says no, the only thing is as that toiling in work and toiling in speaking, that you need genug to sein the ganze tachlis and bris hodam. That's not enough that you say that that's a tachlis. So in other words, the Gemara thought that's a tachlis, there's a Meile. First a Meile Malacha, Meile Sicha, and that remains because it's Teira, so it remains true. So there is a Meile there. But the Gemara meant that that's not enough, that because of that, you should be created. The only thing is, if that will be together with Teira, then there's a Meile. In andere Wert, in other words, like this. The Seder and Yonah from the Shakal Tain in Gemara. This Seder, the order, the way the Gemara puts it in the discussion. The erste Kazal Kedai Kazal Malacha Nivra. The zweite Kazal Kedai Kazal Sicha Nivra. First, he thought that it's created for toil and work. Second, Svara that the Gemara thought maybe it created to the toiling and speaking. And then comes the third thing, which is the maskona, which is the bottom line, that you were created to toil and Teira. And he calls the pasuk that the Sefer Teira, the learning of Teira, should not never go away from your mouth, and that's the tachlis. Is ausgehalten und bleibt für maskona. All three are true. See, not like you learn Pashut and Gemara, this is wrong, and the second one also is wrong, and the only one that's right. They're all three true. What the pshat is, kedei the Adam zal zukum and some tachlis briyose lomer Teila nivro. What the Gemara means that in order to come to the goal, why you were created, Muzer frier, and which is the goal is through Teira, Muzer frier hom the Meile from the Mal Malocha the Mal Sicha. You must first have the quality, the special quality, which is there in the first two, in toiling and working, and toiling in speech. And as I said before, as the Rebbe said, they have a Meile, they for sure have a Meile, otherwise the Gemara would never even have thought. So they have a Meile. And the Gemara thought this was the Meile, but it's no maskana, this is not the Meile. This is not the Tachlis. The Tachlis is that when you have this and you have this, then you have Teira, then it's good. If you connect the two omol, toiling in work, malacha, and toiling in sicha, in speaking, together with the mal Teira, then you reach to the tachlis, the goal why you were created. So now the Rebbe is just saying the Seder and the Pshat. He didn't explain yet what is it. The question is still there. What's the Ma'ila Malacha? That we don't know yet. What's so special about working? What's so special about speaking if it's not Torah? But one thing we know, there is something special there. And there is something good in it, and it's part of the tachlis why you created, and something good in speaking. But when is it all good? If it comes to the goal, to the end of Torah. But what is it? Wetten das verstehen bei Hagdem Hasbore, he was bei State of Shivas Nomer B'chal. Everybody will understand this by first trying to explain what's the mile of toiling, working hard. One thing is for sure, the person was created Adam, the Omal Yula. The person was born, created to work hard. What's the mile? Why is it so that it's good to work hard? This concept of working hard, that's the goal. Adam, the Omal Yula. He is created for that. So before we get to working hard in what? Just to get the concept of working hard, toiling. Why is it good to toil? It should be the opposite. The Eibishter is the essence of good. The nature of good is to do good. So whatever the Eibishter does is for good. Why did the Eibishter make it? The person has to work hard. He created a person. Why did you have to make him work hard? Why didn't you give him everything without working? And the Eibishter is good, and you made us. Why did you do that? You can't say, a person really has pleasure only in something that he works for to get. If he works hard and he gets it, then he enjoys it. Like the Chachamim tell us, a person would rather have one small amount of his, that means that he earned through work, rather than having given for free 9 times as much. Why? Because a person enjoys when something is yours. People don't like hands out. People enjoy when you earned it. You should work. Today you should earn it. If you get everything without work, you didn't earn it, so you won't enjoy it. And since the Eibishter is good, and the Eibishter wants to give us the best enjoyment, so the Eibishter made it that you should have to work. You can't say that. For Modit Teva Gufa is nit kan inyan hachrochim et zaratzmei. Because this nature that a person enjoys only if he worked for it is not something that has to be. But the Eibishter, as I might be given and mentioned, who made that nature by a person enjoys only if you worked for it? The Eibishter made it like that. Is a choder kushel unuchter. Back to the question. For was hat der Eibishter beschaffen the Menschen mit der Teva zu haben teinig dafke für Sachen, was bekommt doch amol gegehr. Why did the Eibishter make a person that he should only enjoy something that he worked for very hard, which is in yonik tzad? To work hard is not easy; it's painful. So why did the Eibishter make? So Taka, now that the Eibishter made it, yes, we understand. So now we have time for working. So Eibishter wants to work, but the kasha is the Eibishter. Why did the Eibishter make that we have to work? The Tainu, who made that we have time only from work? The Eibishter. Why did they do that? That we only enjoy if we work, get something by investing in it rather than getting for free. The Eibishter, why did the Eibishter make it? So the beer in them. So the answer is like this: Amitlis v'tachlis hatevis. The real truth and the tachlis of good is, and this is an interesting pshat that the Rebbe said. This is, I don't know if it says anywhere else in Chassidus. This is the Rebbe's explanation why the Eibishter made that we should have to work. The true tachlis of good is that the mental, the greich, nicht nur the hechste shleimus was he's doing geder an Ibrahim, that a person should reach not only the tachlis, the completion of the top level a creature, a part of creation could reach. The reich amadrege was in ir werte keviyochel dem elabere. The Eibishter, because it's good, he made that the person should be able to reach not only the highest level of a creation, but he should reach the level of the Creator. He should be like the Creator. Like the Chazal said that a person through doing certain things, Ayid, becomes a shut of Lakadosh Baruch Hu. You're a partner. You're also part of creation. And just to explain is something that the Rebbe says in another place, is not here, that the tachlis of everything is to go higher. There's David Semeya Chai Medaber. 4 categories in the world: inanimate objects, plant life, animal life, and a human being. Every one of these 4, the tachlis is to go higher. The tachlis of the daimim, of the ground, is to become part of the next level of a tzemeach, of a plant. When it makes things grow, it's part of tzemeach. The tachlis of the tzemeach, things that grow, is to become part of an animal. When an animal eats grass, so the grass becomes part of the animal. The tachlis of the animal is to become part of a human being. You share the animal and you eat it, it becomes your flesh, your blood, so there's an elevation to the animal. What's the tachlis of the human being? To go to the next level. What's the next level? This is the highest level. The human being is the highest level of creation. The tachlis is that he should go to the level beyond creation, to become part of the Eibishter. Now, what's the pshat? You become part of the Eibishter. You become like the Eibishter. In a nutshell, what's the difference between the Eibishter and the Nivra? A Nivra is a makabel. A Nivra doesn't have anything. Someone made him. The Eibishter made him, so he received his mitzias. Everything he gets is as a makabel, as a receiver, a recipient. The Eibishter is mashpia. The Eibishter is the one that gives. The Eibishter wants that the person, a Yid, should reach the level of being a mashpia, that he is able to do something. The Ribra, the Eibishter, eigentlich hat dem Seder Abriya, that's what the Eibishter made, the Seder of the creation. The man soll sein, aber davon nicht bekommen namuchem. That he shouldn't get his need just like that already. If that happens, then he is only a makabel. He's receiving whatever he's supposed to get. Nor dafke durchom will yegier, the Eibishter, and he should work for it. Because through that he will elevate himself, not nor to the shleimus von a makabel to the boy. Not only will be the completion, the complete full makabel to the highest level. The shleimus von a nivra. A nivra is a makabel. That's all he is. So he will reach the shleimus to be pure highest level of a nivra. Nor echt zu der madrege von mashpia. He wants him to reach a mega that he gives. Umahave, he creates. Then he's similar to his creator. Durch dem was der Mensch horvet and schafft for a person, he has to work for it. So he is making something. He is creating something. If he is creating something, then he's daimit to the Eibishter. So that's why those guf is the time of the teva now. That's the reason why there is a nature that the person doesn't enjoy something that he didn't work for. As a mensch hat kein tiny von Sachen, was bekommt, he doesn't have pleasure from something he gets for free. The person is embarrassed if he gets something for free. It's called in the Zayar, Shalmi, in different places. It's called Namede Kisufa. I don't know if it's in the Zayar. I thought it was the Zayar, but it's the Torah, Yerushalmi. It's called bread of shame. If a person gets bread because it's a hand down, someone gives it to him, that's called bread of shame. So why is that the teva? The question was, why did David make such a teva? David wants to do good for us. He should make it easier for us. That we shouldn't have to. We should have time. We shouldn't lose pleasure if we don't work for it. While in dem Odem is mutba, because there is a nature in the person, put into the person, as ein tafkit and shleimis to sein nit nur a makabel, the recha mashpia. Because David should not only be a makabel mashpia. And this is, as far as I understand the chiddush of the Rebbe, this is the beer why there's this nation. I remember. I just want to say, if you look at the end of the Sikha, you see that this Sikha here comes from a combination of two Sikhas, from Yud Shvat Tovshin Chof Ches and Yud Aleph Nisan Tovshin Lamed Beis. Now, when the Rebbe said the part of this Inyan in Yud Shvat Yud Aleph Nisan Tovshin Lamed Beis, I remember I was involved in the Sikhas, so I remember that the Rebbe had written in Michtach Kloli for Pesach. In Michtach Kloli, the Rebbe would write always empty for Pesach. So the Rebbe gave over that they should add a ha'ore to that letter, this nekuda, they have verbringen. I think he told Rabbi Groner that this was like a big major part of what he used mechadish. I don't know, used mechadish in the verbringen. This nekuda. I remember it was added, and if I will see here, see ha'ore 14, the page before. He says that a hagodah shel Pesach in the kuta time in hogim b'biurim omet ofresh memalo ve'elach b'hores. What's there in the Haggadah Shel Pesach is printed that Michtav Koli. And there you have the Hora of this Inyan. But I remember the Rebbe wasn't originally in the letter, and the Rebbe added, Yisof Alach Azman, added this Nakuda, and by the Rebbe this was like a major thing of what he said by the Svabrengen. And it's like a very Gishmakir Inyan, why the Eibush made that you should have to work, because then you reach a level that you're giving. Instead of taking, you are with your keiches accomplishing something. Fine. Der mit is move on for was der erste Kasal Gedeitich in Gebore is as der Odem is beschaffen geworden Lamamalach. This explains the first part, why we think that maybe a person was created to toil, which we said before, toil is something that he puts himself in, toil with work, simple work, Pasha, working in the world. That's the tachlis. And the question was, why would that be the tachlis? Now we understand. The baldas the Meile von Omal is done, because the Meile, the specialty of work, of toiling, but durch dem wird der Odem der Heben zu der Madrege von Mashpia Beire. That what's the mile of working? That are you working and making something happen? You're reaching the level similar to the Eibishter. Ashutev l'Hakadosh Baruch b'Maaseh Bereishis. You become a partner to the Eibishter in the creation of the world. So if working makes you a partner in the creation of the world, is mistaber, it makes sense. As the Omot Avzaim B'Ikya, so what should be the work about? Shouldn't be things about you. We're trying to show that the person is able, through working, create something in the world. Make something as a mashpia in the world. So it's not something about him. It's that he is able to do something to the world. So the world, which is lower than him. As I said before, there is Daimem Tzemeya Chai Medaber. And we're talking to the Medaber. We're talking to the human being, to the person. That you have a kayach through your work to add to the world. You will add to the world. So what's the world? The world is not him. The world here we're talking about is the daimim tzemeyach achai, everything that's in the world. And you have a kayach to make something, to create something in the world. So what should you, and how do you do it? Through working. In what should you do the work? In Zachen was durch ze is a mashpia ma'aseh bereishis. If you want, we say you could become a partner to the creation. You are like the creator. You're a partner, a shooter to the creation. The creation is the world. So what things should you do? And how do you do it? Through Omol, through working. So the working should be in something of the world. Like Daimon, Tzemeya, Chai from Welt. These three levels, Daimon, Tzemeya, Chai of the world. Tafke demit, veter ashurte b'maaseh bereishis. We're saying that you could become a partner to the Eibishter in creation of something that you will create. So it's not something that you will reach a higher level. You will create something in the world. So the first thought would be that you have to do something in the world. So what should you be with? Should be working. working portion in yonim in the world, and that by doing that you are adding something to the world. When the father is that erste kazalte Seite from Gemara. That's what the first thought of the Gemara is. That's Adam Omal Yulad meant. When we say a person was born, created to work hard, meant nit al masich olam al Torah. Doesn't mean that you will talk and you will or learn Torah. But Zayrinyan is nicht in Weltsachen, because that's not worldly matters. Nor es meant amal malacha, that you have to work hard in malacha, working. This heißt durch dem was der Ed Adam. Now, this next word is the punchline to a certain degree. It means like this: durch dem was der Adam is omal bimlachte. In a eif na rotzoi, if a person works in the worldly matters the way you're supposed to al pi Torah, so the ikar is the work. Was doshe der pirish for normal malacha kedolakamis is. You see later when it says the havamina that Gemara said that you should toil in work, doesn't mean just plain work. Work in weltische Sachen, push a regular work, go to work and work on the ground, al pi Torah. So if you work hard and you have your omol and you work hard in the world matters, al pi Torah is a peilu mashpia and der brias is ranke the boy. So you cause your mashpia to the world, that the world should be the way it's supposed to. So now we get the picture. Later, the Rebbe will explain from the Friedrich Rebbe more detail that what Amma Malacha is. But the point is, Amma Malacha is you work hard in working with the worldly matters, and you work al pitayra b'meila. You're doing something, helping the world become good, but you are doing it through work and in the worldly matters, because that's what it is. The worldly matters. Because we're telling you how you could become a shutif in creation. Creation of what? Of the world. So through Amal Malacha, the Gemara says you become a shutif in the creation if you work with regular work, al pi Torah, so you're bringing it down into the world. Okay, so l'chura, that makes sense. Kasha was in the beginning. The thing that if you work hard, that is the tachlis of your creation. Yes, the tachlis of your creation is that each should elevate the world. Bring something to the world that's not there. He should make the creation, be part of the creation. The creation itself is one thing David to make, but David wants that in the creation should make the creation holy. You make the creation holy. If you work in the creation, in the Gashmet Kazach, in a way that's al Torah, yes, you mashpia into the world. Aber von dem allein, as der Roinen Amol, der Adam so werden a Schutz Kodesh Baruch Hu Ma'aseh, but in Rebbe said this itself, that the Amol, the fact that you toil hard, is in order for you to become a partner to the Eibishter in the creation, so we could understand, as a kenny tzukum and some tachas shleimus hashutzves durch omal malach alein. But if you think deeper, you will see that as much as Rebbe explained why omal malach, there's a svara that makes you a shutav to the Eibishter in the creation, because you're working with the creation. But that in itself is not enough. The next step is that in order for that to work completely, you also have to have Amasicha, work hard in speaking. And speaking, not Torah, we're not talking about Torah. The second svara that it means Poshet, work, toil in speaking. Why? Explains like this. It's a delicate union that happens here in the Sikha, but explains it. The shutfes in Ma'aseh Bereshis, because the real partnership that a Yid could become in the creation of the world, what do we want? He should be similar to the Eibishter, just like the Eibishter was mashpia and did something created. You also work, and through your work, you will be creating. So if you want to be similar to the Eibishter not only mashpia in the creation, he made something new. He created something that's new. Now, it's moving, so you understand, so when a person becomes a partner similar to the Eibishter, is a shleimus dike. When is that complete? Nor dan when pale achidish in the bria. It's not enough that you add to the bria, you make something better in the bria, but you're not making something new. But if the person should reach the level, which is his tachlis, like I said, the tachlis is Adam Omal Yulat. He's created to Horave, and that's the tachlis why he was created. So to say that tachlis is to be like David, like I said before, the highest level of the creation has to go higher to the creator. So you have to be very similar to the creator. How are you similar? Not only if you're mashpia, till now he said the word mashpia. Now he says, but the real shleimus dik, it would not be enough if you're mashpia. You have to do something even more than that. You have to be mechadish in the bria. The far is amal maloch alein nit maspik. That's why just working toiling in work, not enough. Even though, as we said before, if you work and you work in a proper way like the Torah wants, you do elevate the world, so you're adding something to the world. You're bringing an ilui, an elevation to the world. But that's not enough. Why? When the bald as in dem keach asiyah from Malocha drückt sich mit the Meile von dem Odem legab andere Sugyabria. The fact that you're doing that, you're not bringing into the world something beyond the world. You are a human being. What you're doing with work is maise. Now, maise, you're not an exclusive. Odom is not exclusive to maise. While the keach asiyah is fran ebab alichai. Animals also do things. So in that case, you're not doing something beyond the animals. Beyond, we're saying like this: the world is considered daimon semeachai. You are on top of that, and you have to bring something special into the world. So till now, through malacha, you bring out an elevation to the world, to the daimon semeachai. But through what? To the keach hasiyah. So that keich hasiyah there is in the world itself, and here we talk the world as being daimon semeachai. So the animals also have hasiyah; they could also do things. The riber tuter eichufim welt nor azailu was in be'erach to the bria from balachayim. So even though you are greater than a balchai, greater than an animal, but still, when you bring an elevation into the world through asiyah, it's higher than the animals, but it's not bein arech. It's the same category. They have asiyah, you have elamah, you have a higher level of asiyah. But it's not that you're bringing much something in a different category into the world. But you don't bring something that's shalei berech, not in anywhere compared to what the world is. If you would bring again, we're looking for a chidush in the world, because if you want to be like the Eibishter, you have to bring a chidush into the world. And the chidush would mean something that the world doesn't have. But if something that the world has, elamah, you make it better, that's mashpia. Fine, that's what we said before, mashpia is good. But it's not a chidush, because it's through asiyah. So it's higher than the highest level of asiyah under you, but it's still within the same category. What we're looking for, can you bring a chidush into the world? But if you work, you toil in work in the world, but you connect it to talking, we're not talking about Torah now, but simple talking. We're talking about the human being. You are the one that's able to do it. You are a medaber. And what you want is that you should bring something on top of the world, of the other things in the world. That means you have to do it through a keach, which is beyond the daimon semeachai. It has to come through the fact that you are a medaber. That's pevesicha. That's the mouth. That's talking. Then if you do the malacha, but you connect it to you being a human being, and the human being is medaber, and medaber is sicha, so that brings a chidush. A taste vasili was his hecher from the bria mitzadatzma. That's beyond the bria. Again, what's the bria? The bria is under the medaber. It's daimon semeachai. So you bring something in the bria higher, farther brias mina medaber mitziyishlei. You are bringing into a chidush a taste vasili, which is higher than the bria mitzadatzma. That's something that's higher than the bria, because you are a medaber. But the loshon that the Rebbe says here is demult vet in the bria. If you do it through the medaber, in the demult vet in the bria achidush ateis vesilui was his hecher from der bria mitzadatzmo, which is higher than the brias mina medaber u'metziyishlei. The speech chelik in the person is higher than him, and this metzias, even though it's a mina medaber. But if you bring through dibur, your mamshech madrege higher. Rebbe doesn't explain exactly how this works, but this is what he says. If you connect the amal maloch with amal sicha, that means the ashpo you have in welt is the mile from the medaber. So then you make something there beyond the way you were created till now, because you use the keach beyond the world, because it's a keach medaber beyond the rest of the world. So you're bringing into the world something beyond the bria. But the loshon the Rebbe says here is beyond the bria of the medaber himself. That needs a little bit of explanation how to fit it into the union. So now we know already. Amal Malocha is the Yisod. Because you want to be a shutif l'maisa breishis, you have to work. To become a shutif, you have to be a mashpia, like the Eibishter. You have to work. Work in what? In maisa breishis. Work, but that will not make a chidush. So then you have to have sicha. Sicha is the medaber. The medaber is beyond the world. So you could, through your malacha that goes together with sicha, with speaking, Pashat speaking brings a chidush in the world, something that doesn't have. The world doesn't have. The world is Demet Semeyachai. They don't have speech. This is something beyond, and you, through this keach, you bring it into the world, so you're bringing something beyond. It's still not a complete, proper partnership. Because sof kol sof, this that you have, that you're created, and you have the power to speak, you didn't make that. We're looking for that you are able to bring that madrega into the world. So even if you connect it to speech, sof kol sof, that's not you. You are not making that chidush. The Eibush that gave you the power of speech, you're able to make a chidush in the world, but it's sof kol sof, not the you. B'shas the person connects his speech and his malacha with Torah, Torah is the Eibush. It's the Torah of the Creator. Because he and the Torah are one. And you work hard, you toil in the Torah. But the Gemara says that if you work hard in learning, it becomes your Torah. It becomes, you own it. From who owns it? From the Torah. You are working hard in the Torah. You are toiling in the Torah, so it becomes yours. So now it's you who have something beyond the creation. You are connecting the creation with the Creator, because you are the one that's working hard, and you're working hard with Torah. So you have Torah, which is the Eibishter, and you're connecting that you're working in the world, and you're mashpia, and you're machadish. But it's something that you're doing. It's the Eibishter doing, but you're bringing what the Eibishter is. The fact that you're able to talk, it's not you. The Eibishter made you talk. But the fact that the Torah, you have the Torah, so the Torah becomes yours. And the Torah, on the other hand, is the Eibishter. So here you're able to become a real partner to the Eibishter that not only mashpia, but you're machadish. You are machadish because you are learning Torah and you're bringing the Eibishter. Kivyochel, you're connecting the Eibishter with the Bria. You become similar to the Eibishter. Now, after the Rebbe is going to explain further, we'll make it even more understood. To explain this Bepnimis Inyonim, like the real pshat and the Sinyan, based on what he said before. And the Rebbe is going to say, what's the yisod to hit the Rebbe's beer from before? So the beer is like this. In the minyan of Amal Maloch and Amal Sicha, this Sinyan that the Gemara says that first there's a swara that what's created, toiling in work, then second one toiling in talking. It's Klegelish Meir B'Chomei Admur Mavaya, so the Frierdiker Rebbe is Mavaya and a Maimer. As Amal Malocha meant, but the Gemara meant that you were Havamina, that you created to toil in work, means Sheyase Malachta B'Emunah, that you should work with Emunah and Eibishter. Sheyamim B'Hashem, when you work, you have to believe in Hashem. Shehu Hazon Mafarnas, He's the one that feeds you. Hu Yis Baruch Yigmer B'Adei LeBrocha, and Eibishter is going to, whatever you work, Eibishter will make it come to a brocha. That's what he says means Amal Malocha. The Rinya from Amal Sicha is, he's askas b'tfilah. Amal Sicha doesn't mean stop talking. But it's not Torah. It's davening. K'mayim Razal, that's the Gemara says. Ein Sicha el Torah. It says talking, and tefillah, I mean. Ein Sicha el tefillah, talking means tefillah. So the Frierdiker Rebbe says Amal Malocha means working with Amunah and doing it properly. And Sicha means davening. There hesbet, this hesbet that the Frierdiker Rebbe says, is that Yisod from the Eben the Mountain Beer. This is the foundation of the previous mentioned explanation. As Oma Malach is an inyan was is be'erach from the Bria. Said Oma Malach is something that you mashpia in the Bria, but you're mashpia, but not mechadish. That's what we said before. You're just making the world in a higher madrege. Amal Sicha is hecha from the Bria. Amal Sicha, we said, is something that you're mechadish in the Bria. Now, where does the Rebbe say I get it from that mind of the Frierdiker Rebbe? Why? Because the Frierdiker Rebbe says that Amal Malocha means the Amunah. When you have a Amunah, the Eibishter feeds you, you cause the world to become higher because you're working with the world and you're working with the Amunah that the Eibishter. But it doesn't connect you to a level higher in the world. The mere fact that you know that Eibishter makes it happen, but you still have to work. You got involved in working naturally. Why is it? Because it's still the limitations of the world that you have to work. Therefore, even if he's working, toiling in Melacha, he's durchgenommen mit der Emunah b'Hashem shehu azon mefanes. It's completely with the Emunah that the Eibishter is the one that really gives you this. And not the fact that you're naturally working. That's not going to give you the food, etc. Von deswegen still der Gerechte durch den Beleis am Adregen of Akus melubischen Welt. So b'meila you're connecting to the Eibishter. But to which level of Elakus? Elakus, which is melubish in the world. That's why the way to get to this level, to do this thing, you have to work. Work is Welt, and in Welt, so you have to work because you are limited to the limitations of the world, but you have to realize that the Eibishter is doing it. So which level of the Eibishter is it? The way the Eibishter is melubish in Welt. Aber Avedes hat viele amal sicher, which is viele davening is in Yonah. What's davening? Sula mutzavar tzavareshim agia shemaim. It says by the Yankee Ravina that he saw in the dream, the ladder standing on the ground and the top is touching the shemaim. So it says in Zayar that this is davening. Zayar Chelakal says in order 26. Davening is a sulam. That means you're starting to go up a ladder. The haloah from the water mimata l'maylo. Person starts down here, starts going higher and higher. He's magia shemaim until you reach to shemayim. What's shemayim? Shemayim is a hint. Hecher from the bria. Through tefillah, you could reach a madrege beyond the bria. You could connect to the Eibishter, not the way he's melubish in the bria. So through amal melocha, and meaning to say that you work, the gashmi is bedarkei ateva, with the feeling that it comes from the Eibishter, you're reaching the kus, but the kus which is melubish in teva. For davening, you could go so high that you reach hecher for hashamayim. Shamayim represents hecher higher in the bria. The Rabbi when zusammen mit amal melocha is amal sicher. Therefore, if you have a mal malacha that you work with the Welt and you have the Munah that comes from David, and together with that, you have the Hamal Sicha that you have tefillah, which makes you reach to a higher madrege. Tut manuf in the bria ateis v'silui. So you bring an addition to the creation. Higher than it is on its own. Not just in the level of the world, you make it better. You go a level beyond. But those say that that's what it means. That it's a ladder standing on the ground, and the top of the ladder reaches Shammai in the heaven. Which means like this: not only when you daven, you yourself have the halo, you elevate yourself higher. Arz, it says it's standing on the ground, and when it says that you're going up, you're taking the ground with you. You're taking the Oretz with you. Bis to Shammai goes all the way to Shammai. The Pchina was his hecher from Welt, goes higher in the world, which this fits to what he said before. He said before that Amal Malach is good, but it's only Mashpia, you're not Machadish. It's all within the world. Elamai Mashpia, the world should be in a higher, better Madrega. And through Amal Sicha, he said before, what does that mean? That you connect the world to a higher Madrega. That's why it's to the Madaber, which is something beyond the Temet Sameach HaChai. And your Mashpia, you bring it down from a higher Madrega, even higher than what he is himself, that ever said before. But you reach a higher Madrega. It fits to what we're saying now. That if Amal Malacha is working with a munah, you reach a very high madregi within the world, because you still have to work. When you have tefillah with it, you elevate the world to a higher madregi, completely higher than the world. Now he says, Amal sicha aveidas tefillah is pale in Welt, even though this amal sicha, which is tefillah, causes in the world an iluvas is hecher from the bria, an elevation that is higher than the creation. Von deswegen kennen sich durch dem nach als tuft an emes chidush in the bria. You still, even through tefillah, you're reaching higher in the bria, but it's not a real chidush. It's elevating the world, but it's not called a chidush. Why? Is in an efen. When we say a person is able to elevate himself and the mele elevate the world to a very madrega, higher in the world, but how does he do it? That's what the person does. He himself, you daven. You go, you think, and you daven, you go higher, you get closer to the Eibishter. It's all comes as a result of what he did. Who is he? He's a human being. A human being is limited. You're a limited person. So as high as you go and beyond the world, it's still a limited thing. Why? Because it comes from a limited thing. If the limited one causes it, it can't cause something more than what it has. So it can be unlimited. Der Rabbi wird durch den Move getan in der Welt, ich nur als sei Ilu, was ist noch als Be'erach Abri. So therefore, even though we said through Tefillah you reach a level higher than the creation, but it's a level higher than the creation, which is be'erech the creation, which is in higher. Doesn't mean that it's not be'ein arech, not completely removed from it. It's be'erech. That's not a real chiddush. As much as you bring the world something special and you elevate it, and you elevate it the way that just not only in the world itself, elokus, but it's higher in the world, it's still be'erech, because it comes from a person who is limited. But das is dafke by nila shlei berech. A real chiddush is only when it's shlei berech, when the elevation is, that's called a chiddush, something new. Because if it's not, if it's still be'erech, as much higher as it is, the moshel, you have 1 in a million, much higher. A million is much more than one. It's still be'erech, because a million is made up of a million ones. So as high as you go, you never left it. But if even a million compared to bleak wool, to unlimited, there's no comparison. And what we're looking for is to have, that's a real chiddush. That's something new legaba a million. Bleak wool is no gabin. A million legaba one is not new. You have one is be'erech to a million, because a million is made up of ones, of a million ones. The far is the maskonas hagemara is lo malteira. That's what the Gemara says. What's the real thing? Lo malteira nivra. You created to toil and teira. Teira, eichli is the Rabbi kuba the matis iterosa shalabes. Teira is the Eibishter. Not only the teira by the Eibishter in Shemayim. Teira, the way it's down here in this world, is the teira of the Eibishter. Teira is bleak wool. Teira is unlimited. We bal teira is in ganz necher from the bria. Teira is completely higher than the creation. The Reber hot sie dem keach. So pales an ashinu in der Metzias from Welt busy Zolven Metzias Chadosh Mamish. So through Torah you could make the world, elevate the world, and in the world connect to the Eibishter the way he is beyond any erech to the world. Not only it's higher in the world, but first level is higher, but the erech, shlei berech. Aber kedem is erkennen durch Omal Torah aufheben die Welt zu dar gewisses Hechet michutz von der Bria. But in order for this Torah, the toil and Torah, should have this ability to elevate the world to such a level which is completely beyond the creation, a Metzias Chadosh, something that's completely new by the world. First, you have to work with the world and do everything to elevate and purify the world as the world is. Then you can go higher, that you reach, the world reaches a Madrege which is higher than the Bria, and then you can reach a Madrege which is even higher than that you live better. The Rebbe is a Seder as zum ersten Tag sein am Amalach. Seder is like this. First, you have to toil and work. The Saskes in Yon Eilam and Eifner Rotzi al Petera, to work in Yonim of the world, al Petera, like the Friedrich Rebbe says, was durch dem is a Mesaken die Welt is sein and Atzir from Dusha. That makes the world higher than the creation. No, not higher than the creation. In the creation itself, a holy one. Something like this, the creation is not holy. But if you work there with the Yonim of the creation in a proper way, you make the world a Kodesh, a holy thing. But this work, toiling and work is not enough. The Kavon is as Elam soll nicht bleiben, wenn man Modem hat so, I feel not see from Dusha. The Kavon is not only that the world as a world should remain a world, but a holy world. That itself is not enough. You have to go higher. No, there's so many in the meaning of normal sicha. You have to add that the world should go beyond. Not only the world should become a good place, a holy place. The world should reach a level beyond the world. Make the world reach a level that's higher than the world. Only first you start making the world higher than the world, but the first level is through davening. First, the malacha elevates the world, that the world becomes better. Tefillah makes it afterwards, that the world not only is a better world, a holier world, but you elevate it beyond the world, but still you're doing it because you davened, you elevated yourself. So it's higher than the world, but it's still limited. After you have this introduction, preparation of these two, then comes the toiling of Torah. But has the power, because it is rooted in the essence of Hashem. Then you can make something new. Like the Eibishter made something new, you can make new. But that you make something new, that the world reaches a level which is completely beinarech to the world, to the Bria, and that's the union of Dira B'Tachtenim, that the world reaches its tachlis. When you accomplish Dira B'Tachtenim, then the Tachtenim, the world, is a new Metzias. It's Tachtenim still, but it's a Dira Leis Borah, and that you reach through Torah. When the meat is moving, as Dafke the Metzias in the Seder von alle drei Sugi Omol. This explains Understand that only these three things, the seder of these three things, Amal Malocha and Amal Sich and Amal Tere, is Masbir Umatim the Minya from Amal Yulad. That's what the Pshat the Gemara says. Pshat in the pasuk, a person was born, created for toil. And the Gemara at the Havamina, that means Amal Malocha, the Amal Sich, the Amal Tere. The Gemara says. So as the Rebbe said in the beginning, it's not a Havamina and that's off. We got rid of that Pshat. No, it's only one Pshat Tere. No, these stay, but the way it is, because they're all part of Tere. That the Gemara meant. First is you got to do Amal Malocha, and then you got to do Amal Sich, and then you do Amal, then you accomplish. That's what you're created for. Through all categories of this toil. About only then you accomplish the chidush, the something new in Ma'aser Bereishis, and the back of them, that's how you become a partner. You're like the creator. And those are the tachlis abriya. Tachlis of creation is to become always creation, go higher in creation completely. And that the person could, that's why a person is put in the world. And it goes in stages. First, you elevate the world as it is, should be better. Then you elevate the world to higher in the world, but still be'erech. And then you elevate the world that's beyond. And that's when the data happens. Now we have to go back to the beginning of the Sikha. The beginning of the Sikha was the question, what's the pshat that the Eibusha gave the Eden Eretz Yisrael because the people work there? Who cares? The people work, they're given to the Eden. Mainly, if you live amongst them, you say, it's good to live amongst people who work. But they're not there. So what's the Eden that they work? So the Rebbe explains it now like this. Just like we said till now. That Aveda of a person is at the tachlis from sein Bria, so the Welt which is from the Bria. The purpose of the person is to transform the world through Torah, to come higher in the world, higher in the Bria. But in order to accomplish that, you first have to have the first two levels. Just like this is the tachlis of a yid, this is also to get Eretz Yisrael. You have to do the same thing. You have to go through these three stages. Eretz Yisrael is free gegeben geworden to design numbers. First Eretz Yisrael was given to the 7 nations. With the Kavona and Tachlis, there was a purpose there. As Eden sollen ihr Kever sein und übermachen. That the Eden should transform Eretz Yisrael. How? Through conquering it and transforming it from Eretz HaGoyim, so then Eretz Yisrael. Just like we said before, you take the world and you make the world holier. That's the first level. Amma Malocha does that. The world stays as a world. So here also, Eretz Yisrael is Eretz of the Goyim, and they made it so that we should conquer it and change it, exchange it, and not exchange, mean transform it, to become Eretz Yisrael and Eretz HaKadosh. Like through Amal Malocha, you make the world a holy world because you're doing everything al pitera. A land was in it is made begilo the era Torah with from Welt. You make it the holy land where the light of Torah should shine, which is the light of Torah is higher in the world. So that's the tachlis. So the tachlis is to come to the third level. So the tachlis of the Eibush giving it to Goyim and then to Eden is to make these three levels, to go to reach the highest level. That in Welt, not only is the Welt, the Eretz Yisrael, a holy place, not like before, it has the Eir HaTorah, which is the tachlis of every higher in the world. And those are and it went like this. It started by time of Avram. We know the Gemara says that the world is existing 6,000 years. First 2,000 years is called Shnei Alofim Teyu, 2,000 years of chaos. Then starts 2,000 years of Torah. It happened in the time of Avram. And it says Avram Hischi Lahoyer. Avram started shining. It says in Medrash that Avram started shining because till then it was dark. People didn't believe in the Eibishter. He started shining. So Avram started the process of making the world light, and light is Torah. To make the world, start the process of making the world reach a level which was higher than the Bria, higher than the world. The Rambam says, how did it start by him? It says he was misbeinen. The Rambam says, he was thinking. So it started, his beineness, that he was thinking. And thinking to the boy, he really thought hard. Omol, which is Omol. He started thinking, misbeinen, with toil. How do you know maybe he didn't work hard on it? Because Varam Leya Gaita Matzos all time, and it says if you didn't work hard, you'll never get it. So the fact that Avram got it means that he worked hard. In their Bria, in the Bira, the Medrash refers to the world as a Bira, as a palace. And Avram looked at the palace as who's controlling it must be a creator, and that's how he got to it. So He worked hard in Misbeinen, in the Welt, the Noch, and then after that in Shemesh v'chulu, in the sun, everything. Durch welches kommt Shefa in Welt, he was Misbeinen, what brings the Hashpoah into the world, of the sun. These are the gekommen zu the Maskona, Yesh Balabais. So finally, after thinking about the Galgalim and the orbit and the sun and the moon and everything, he came to an understanding, the Maskona, that there is a Balabas to the world. This to them in Ein Arech from the Balabas and the Bire. Till he came to coming to understanding that how the Eibishter is Be'ein Arech. And he understood it down here through his hard work. Kemaim Chazal, where do we see that the Eibishter is completely Be'ein Arech? The Chazal say, this is it, Chassidus brought down, that when you understand the truth of the Eibishter, you realize that the Eibishter's main thing is not that he created the world. Okay, that's a Yerida for the Eibishter. The Eibishter is completely beyond the world. And that's what Avraham Avinu came to understand. So we see by Avraham Avinu that this process that we said before in Avodas Sodom is that it starts with being low. Then you create it to fix that. So you have to fix it, Jamal Malocha, make the world holy. And then you go further and you make the world through Amal Sicha, you make the world beyond the work, reach a level beyond the Be'erech, and then you reach to the highest Madrega through Torah. And that is, we find by Avraham. But then he says, Kedei al der Eretz soll sein Akela zum Eira Torah from Avraham, das ist Hecher from Welt. But Taka by Avraham, he came to realize that this is completely beyond Ein Arech to the world. But in order that the world and Eretz, which in this case Eretz Yisrael, should be a Kela to this Eir HaTorah, right of Torah, which is higher in the world, was durch dem Wetz in his Hapach and and Eretz Yisrael, Eretz HaKedesh, but because it's a Kela, then it's able to be transformed to be a Kamholi, hot in a free gedarf sein, der Inje von Omal Malocha and Omal Sicha. So first they had to work. Avraham Avinu had that whole thing in a package deal. He had it all together. But the way it turned out, Bapel Mamish in the land, so there you have to have these stages. Has to go through Amal Malocha, so he has to be working with the actual work. And then to Amal Sicha. Und der Rebbe darf gewinnen ist die Yeshua seine gewinnen Asukim benichush beider. When the people of the world, of the land, were involved in nichush, which is weeding and either hoeing, working in the field. She's dort given the linie from the Amal Malocha. They had the Amal Malocha. They given the Achone. So now Amal Malocha was there. I guess they worked properly. I guess Avraham Avinu wouldn't be so excited that they work if they worked with stealing or things like that. So probably they worked realizing it comes from Hashem. But then we need a second thing, Amal Tfilah. Yes, afterwards given the Achone noch der Akdome from Bakoshet Tfilas Avraham. Avraham as the Eibishter, he davened, which is Amal Sicha. He has the Eibishter. Please, I need this. I want to be have a chelik in this place. That's tefillah. So you had Amal Malocha, you had Amal Sicha. So the Eretz Yegem Ben Avraham was Achrav. That caused that it should be given to Avraham and his children. Avraham started it. And later the Yidden were able to bring Torah into it. Was the Secher from the Bria. So the question, which tied in the question was, what's the mila of working? If you're not going to live with it, it's not because you're going to live amongst working people. There is a process here. So you saw the union of Amal Malocha, which is the beginning of reaching the Tachlis in Eretz Yisrael, just like in every Avodas Hashem, every person. So they had Amal Malocha, Avraham Daven had Amal Tfilah, and now this made a Kela that they should be able to bring the Eira Torah. So Avraham already had it. He was Hil Chilahoya, but that was only in a small way. And then what happened to the Yidden brought it out in the world. And that's the reason why Eibishter said, Avraham said that Eibishter was masking. If they have a Mal Malocha, then this is what they're going to get, because this is the seder of how you get to the highest Madrega of Amal Torah. It's a little bit hard, but we got to think about it.